Okay, so today I'm going to be looking at importing custom vehicles into Company of Heroes. Um, Basically, I'm just going to go through all the steps, starting from max. I'm going to assume that you've already got a model textured, UV wrapped, ready to go. This is already boned and animated. I shouldn't need to go through that. There's a fair few how-to animates around the place. The only thing you need to do specifically for Company of Heroes is save all the animations as in a particular folder as separate files. I thought I had it open here, apparently not. Basically it just needs to go into your data source folder. You need the actual model itself with the textures in your saved as reference.max, and the animations all saved individually with the bone styled. There's a few little neat tricks I'm just going to explain before I get started on everything else. When you're animating, what you can actually do, I'll just get this out of the road for a second. Each of your little bones, I haven't done it on this one, but what you can do is before you animate, you can select all your bones. Oh, wrong one. You can apply your relic style, and what that'll do is each bone will have this little tick box which asks if you want that bone to be styled. You apply that to every bone before you start animating. As you animate, you just untick the bone before you key in your animations. And what that'll do is, and then when you save it, you just open your reference.max and everything will be ticked as style again. So you can just untick, animate, open old file, untick, animate, and just keep going. You don't have to stop and open your CA selector every time. And the other neat trick is to animate tracks. Instead of having to open up your little selector and find everything, you can actually cheat. Go to your setup here, make sure your track's selected, make sure you got the right material selected. I want right track, yep. Key it, auto key, come down to here and change your offset. You can't see it moving too well, but you can see there it's moving, so I'll shift that to 10. It'll jump forward, and then if I sit here and go like this, it's keyed the UV offset for us. I'm just going to reopen this so it doesn't have the changes. Wrong file. I was originally going to set up something completely myself to, for the purpose of this, but it ended up not working properly. Okay, next thing you'll need to do once you've got animations, whatever, ready, going, you'll need to add markers. These don't need to be added before you animate, simply because they're not bones, they're not treated as bones. They're if they're on the reference.max file, they'll be treated as being attached to the bone regardless of whether they're in the animation files or not. Now the purpose of markers, I've only got one on the barrel and the machine gun at the moment. Basically anywhere you want special effects to be launched from. So in this case, it's obviously the firing effects. Use them to attach sound. If you want little floaty icons above the tank, you'll need one up above the tank where you want the icon to be. If you want exhaust fumes, you put one of the exhausts, etc, etc, and then you assign the effects in that in Object Editor. Thing to take note of markers is, depending on all they are, is points. Thing to keep in mind with markers is that depending on which window you use to place them, they'll be orientated differently, just like bones. So basically you may need to play around a bit more in Object Editor, depending on which window you've used. Okay, so that's pretty much everything set up. This has already got everything animated, machine gun turret, etc. With your bone orders, you need to make sure that your horizontal bone comes before your vertical bone. So if you see there, right in the middle of the chassis is the chassis bone, and then up top in the middle of the turret is the horizontal bone, and then the barrel itself has the vertical bone. The same for the hull machine gun. That first bone closest to the chassis is the horizontal, and then the one after it is the vertical. This is simply because if you do it the other way around, instead of moving left to right as you try to go horizontally, it will have already moved vertically, so your machine gun will be pointing up, and then it will rotate based on the parent's direction, not the world direction. So yeah, I think that's about it as far as getting things ready to go in Max. If you're using wheels, that little chitty tank that showed up earlier, I intended to have both wheels and tracks in the same demonstration. If you've got wheels set up, if you intend for the wheels to turn, you'll need to have the turning bone before the actual drive of the wheel itself. Similar manner, so that you'd have the bone which is turning in place of the horizontal bone, and then the actual wheel going forward as the vertical bone is placed, as with turrets and whatever. Alright, so that's pretty much it for setting up in Max. There's nothing else you really need to worry about. You can either use skin modifier for attaching to bones, or you can just use the attach tool. It doesn't make much difference. The only reason you'd use skin over the attach is if you wanted everything as one solid mesh. To set up physics, everything you want to be detachable from them needs to be a separate mesh. So if you want the each of these little wheels to come off, you would need them to be separate meshes. They wouldn't be able to join like they are here. Alright, so burn it to object editor, and we're ready to start in burn it, yeah, we're ready to start in object editor. Could not copy, blah blah blah. It works anyway. Hope. Alright, and off to object editor.